So I want to talk about something that's really important, really important, really important, and if it's really important, you say it 3 times, that way you know it's really important. I want to talk about behavior and attitude and how it develops and how we change it. Now we all know habits develop by practice. You do it over and over and over again. So let's say you have a bad habit, like you're easily disturbed, you get easily upset, certain things push your buttons, and you don't do anything about it. And so every time this one thing happens, you get angry. Every time this other thing happens, you become intolerant. Every time this one person says this same thing to you over and over again, you become upset. And so what are you doing? You're practicing the same behavior over and over again. So instead of overcoming your anger or intolerance or upset, it's becoming more and more programmed into you. And so the opposite is true. Let's say you make a list of things you do that you don't like, you know you shouldn't do, you don't want to do. And you want to change the attitudes that are causing that behavior. You have to practice those attitudes. You have to practice a new way of thinking. Or if you're not good at changing attitudes, you just want to focus on practicing a new way of behaving. But you have to behave a certain way over and over and over again, daily, month after month. And it becomes a new program. It becomes a new habit. And science tells us the neurons in the brain change when you create habits. So let's say I was accustomed to getting upset about a certain thing, and I realize it's wrong and I want to change. So I understand that I should be thinking in a different way. I understand how that is, and then I practice always thinking that way. And whenever I get upset, I revert back to practice thinking in the way that will pacify me or calm me, and eventually will prevent me from becoming angry. Or if I can't do that, I just practice not going with my anger. Even though I'm upset, I don't say anything, I don't do anything. I practice. What happens is that it becomes ingrained as a habit. So now you develop this new habit of not getting upset about something, or thinking in the proper way about something where previously you were thinking in the wrong way. It could be envy, it could be prejudice, it could be greed, it could be lust, it could be how you're looking at anything, how you're dealing with anything, how you're acting in a variety of situations in response to things that upset you. So if you want to change a behavior, if you want to change an attitude, all you have to do is recognize that behavior or recognize that attitude and just practice it all the time. And remember, whenever you allow yourself to go with your conditioned thinking, it's just reinforcing it. So let's say you have a bad temper and you're not controlling it and you give into it. And every time you give into it, you're not reconditioning yourself. You're continuing that habit and you're reinforcing that habit. So that's important. If you have a certain mentality and it's the wrong mentality and you don't like it, it's not Krishna conscious. You're going to have to change that. And remember, every time you deal with a situation or deal with a person that same old way, you're reinforcing that behavior, you're reinforcing that attitude, you're reinforcing that habit. So if you want to change it, you have to change your attitude, you have to change your behavior, and you have to consistently act that way. And then you know what happens after a while? That new way of thinking or acting becomes your normal way. So no longer do you get upset, or no longer do you get irritated by a certain situation, or no longer do you react in a certain way because you've trained yourself to react in another way. A lot of devotees think, well, when I become Krishna conscious, then it'll all be cleared out. Yeah, so my question is, when are you going to become Krishna conscious? This life, another life, and you're not going to do anything yet? You're just going to wait till you become Krishna conscious? That's one of the actually funniest things I've ever heard. I'll wait till I become Krishna conscious and it'll all clear out. No, you need to clear it out now so you can become Krishna conscious. So practice new behaviors, practice new attitudes, and eventually, in a few months, it'll become the way you naturally act. And so now you could be acting the way you want to instead of acting this conditioned way, because you've conditioned yourself to the kind of action you want. So I remember in the beginning of the video I said, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this 3 times. I think you should listen to this over 2 more times, because this is really important. Because we all need to practice ways of behavior that are in line with our values, right? And a lot of us, all of us, I would say, have behavior and attitudes that aren't, that we need to work on. We need to change. Hare Krishna.